All right, and then speaking of Reina, oh no, you said Bela, so that transition doesn't work.
Or that's the story of Reina's life, though, isn't it?
Lords and ladies, good wives and good men, I welcome you to Vassals of Kingsgrave podcast with another episode of Blackfyre Backchat, continuing with our House of the Dragon Season 2 coverage. This week we're talking about Season 2, Episode 7, The Red Sowing. I'm joined by a small council this week consisting of my Master of Laws, Steph,
Hello, gsdg on the forums or Discord.
and my Master of Coin, David.
Hello, it's David HHH on the forums, the Discord, whatever else.
And I am the Lord Baron, your host for the evening.
With his small council.
Yeah, my very small council. So with this week, I'm gonna give it a clean 4 out of 5 lemon cakes. Um, they were mostly like the last end of the episode, like the last handful of scenes, is kind of what brings it up for me.
Yeah.
But it's just kind of wild that in the penultimate episode, I don't know, I almost feel like I'm burnt out because of how odd the pacing has felt. But what about you? What are y'all thinking?
I'm kind of with you. I'll probably give it a 4. I liked it better than a couple of the recent ones, but I mean, definitely I really liked all the stuff with the dragons and the dragon seeds. I thought they managed to take what was a couple of mildly interesting pages in the books and make it really suspenseful and exciting television. The whole rest of the episode was still pretty good. It feels like we're finally moving on from the morass that is Harrenhal, but the things that happened there were actually really good, and we've definitely got some serious Sesame Street action going on there now. and overall, I liked it.
Nice. I'll give it a 3. I think there was, or I started to warm up to it today. I watched it yesterday, but there were still some things that I think made it drag, and I found the casting call for the dragon seeds very silly.
Mm-hmm.
All of them coming from King's Landing, but
An interesting choice for sure.
yeah, that's
Especially with the gates blockaded there. Like, how did they all get out?
right.
They snuck them all out. They snuck out dozens and dozens of people. Like, we got a whole underground railroad going on here,
Right? No, I think we saw
Dragon
that
Seed
coming.
Underground Railroad.
Right, and I think we saw that coming in previous episodes of, like, is Olinda Massey going to like kidnap Hugh Hammer or something? But like,
Right.
uh, but yeah, just, it still felt really clunky to me. But at least this seems to be the end of Damon's fishing quest in Harrenhal. So
Yeah.
uh, that's something to be applauded.
And interestingly, we got Viserys again, which was always the best of the visions. But they said in the after the episode thingy, whatever they call it, House of Dragons built, they said that it was all Patty's idea to come back with the like decrepit makeup. So it'll sell more action figures, maybe. I don't know, because the one action figure we've got of him that's coming out shortly, I think, or either just out, or I think it's coming out shortly, is decrepit Viserys, which I don't know if anyone really wanted that, but that's what we got.
It's unless someone's intent on recreating the tableau of Viserys' family dinner the night he died.
Right. The Last Supper.
Right.
So with that, we open on Queen Rhaenyra meeting the new dragon rider, Adam of Hull. He kneels and pledges to serve his queen. Rhaenyra remarks he is quick to do so. Adam says Seasmoke came to him, and as a servant of House Valyrian, he knows what the call to service means. When pressed upon his parentage and lineage, he remarks his mother was a shipwright and his father of no consequence. Rhaenyra asks if he can fly to Dragonstone, and Adam replies he can try.
Ooh, burn. His father is no consequence.
Right. Exactly.
Right?
Like, but I still like the whole like well that was really quick. You switched over real quick. I'm like, shut up, bitch. You got what you wanted. Don't complain about it.
I mean,
Right.
she's right to be suspicious, though.
I know,
You can't
but
deny
but
her
still,
that.
it's just kind of funny though. Like this is what you spent the whole last episode planning for. You've got it now, so take it.
Right. He's bowing to you immediately,
Right. With the dragon.
Which the dragons were really the stars. Man,
Oh yeah.
this whole episode, anytime we got like the dragons singing, or like in this scene with the two of them kind of facing each other, like, oh,
Yeah.
what's up? What's up? How's it going?
On that beautiful scene on the beach that they spent forever planning for.
Mm-hmm.
And then the weather
Yeah.
almost ruined, but it ended up working out well.
Was that on the behind the scenes?
Oh yeah, it was like a major storm came in. Like they had set up for like this scene on the beach and they were looking for it to be nice, and then it became this major storm was coming and they're like, we're not gonna be able to film this, and then they did it anyways and it came out beautiful and they loved it.
Mm.
Little those happy serendipity moments when filming.
Yeah, but I think with as far as like noble bastards go, I think I think it might be like part of the etiquette for like don't out your noble parent unless they recognize you, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, I could do that.
because yeah, you could be seen as antagonizing them unless they actually come forward and claim you.
Right. Although you'd think that would be a good thing because I mean, he is her hand right now. So like if she's not trusting you, well, I'm your hand, son. Like
Right, but I think
yeah.
and it'll probably come out soon enough, but yeah, it's
Yeah, because I think in the history of that world, which is what we're reading in Fire and Blood, I mean, I think he is referred to as Adam Valerian, isn't he? I think, not just Adam of Hull.
at this point he's still Adam of Hull, but with
Right.
claiming Seasmoke, the Hull brothers are legitimized, and it seems like it does come off in the book like Corlys actively put them forward to try to claim Seasmoke. So, and then Alan later tries to claim Sheep Stealer but fails.
I forgot about that, yeah. And then in the Red Keep, Alicent is having her wound tended to as she laments on ruling. When the Grand Maester comments she will have a scar, Alicent says nothing is clean here. She then leaves to ask Sir Rickard to join her in the Kingswood with no company but him. Classic short scene.
Yeah. I mean, Alicent's whole stuff this episode's kind of weird. She's just sad and depressed and after being kicked out, and do I have any place?
She's just out.
I mean, certain types of people do like to book a vacation immediately after they get fired, so.
Oh, yeah. I don't blame her.
Yeah.
I've done it. I literally was gone from work and that night went home and had left the next morning for Disney one time.
And then in the yard of the Red Keep, Lord Larys and Lord Wild overlook as Aemon has his Kingsguard brought out and have their white cloaks renounced and sent to the wall, as the Prince Regent is merciful. Lord Wild, he has heard whispers of Seasmoke being seen with a rider. They go back and forth on who should give the news to the Prince Regent, but ultimately decide some whispers are best left to the wind. And Steph, you said you had something on this one?
Okay, so Damon has said previously that he has a friend on the Green Council, and I hadn't put much thought into that before, but now that Iron Rod is trying to downplay the news of Sea Smoke claiming a new writer, it seems like that, or it lends credence to Damon's claim, but I couldn't tell you uh, what Iron Rod has done previously that would also support this, just because this is, like we're not rewatching the entire season 2 for that, right? So
Yeah, and I hadn't even thought of that. 'Cause I kind of forgot that he did because he's just been tripping. Because I kind of just more read it as like neither of them want to bring this news because they don't know how
Yeah.
Aemond would react.
Yeah, that's what I got. That's what I thought.
But I like that it could be one of Damon's agents.
I mean, and also it's. I mean, look, the guy still took part in the Green Council unless he's like consistently leaking things to Missaria. I'm not sure how useful he's actually been to Team Black, right? And how would he even know that Missaria is now the Master of Whisperers for Team Black, right?
Not unless he somehow is getting the information.
Yeah,
But I mean, I would think Lord Loris would get that.
yeah, he's not. He's also, yeah. I mean, like they're not showing us him meeting Alinda in a tavern, right, with a crime hoodie on. So
Right. Which we do get crime hoodies in this episode, so that's awesome.
Yep. Yep. Setting up the Underground Railroad.
And then with that, we see Sea Smoke and Cyrax are flying back to Dragonstone as the Black Council joins. Lord Bartimos, perhaps a bit drunk, at least I kind of thought he seemed a bit in his cups, complains how a commoner is now on a dragon. Lord Corliss says they should wait the Queen's judgment, but it seems that she should not attend. The Queen is actually with Massaria, and with excitement and desperation, she sees the opportunity they have. Massaria says to look to the Targaryen baseborn, not noble lines, which I kind of was a little surprised that she didn't even show up for her own council to bring this news.
Well, she was a little busy at this point, you know. I mean, she had just she had like just come back, right? So from searching out who had the dragon.
Yeah, but I mean, like, after she sends Adam to,
Yeah.
whatever little quarters, she goes straight to Massaria instead of her council,
Fair point.
know?
Yeah.
I think this has more to do with the fact that it's the honeymoon phase of their budding relationship, right?
Yeah, I was just kind of
Oh,
thinking
true.
that too.
It's also kind of like, that's the read I got from, like Jace's storming off. You said that the packages have arrived of the food, right? So it's it's like, oh,
Right.
Like the first day home from work after the new honeys and is staying over. Gotta be home.
Yeah, it did seem a little odd, flippant, but I guess I can't say that's out of character for Rhaenyra in the show, right?
Right.
No, I guess it's just another criticism on her seemingly going to be worse and worse choices.
Yeah.
And we kind of we do get little bits of her, like the fire in her eyes, kind of literally in this episode too.
Oh yeah. And yeah, and then also, just like there is the aspect of like she's telling to Chase later, it's like there's not really anything I can do about the sea smoke thing besides killing Adam. right? So
Right, exactly. It's like they're complaining about it. Like, what's she supposed to do? Say, no, I'm not going to accept you and your dragon? Like, or forcibly take him off it? Like, good luck on that.
right, because so then it's just like so at that in that sense, yes, it can wait for like her to have a bath after like a dragon ride, right? But
Yeah, have a sexy bath with your new sweetie. The old men on the council can wait.
They're used to it.
Right? Exactly. I blow them off all the time. What's one more time?
All right, and then from there we go into Adam in his new chamber where he's looking around, and Corliss shows up, remarking on how he said "my lord" instead of "my lord." He then grants him leave of his navy and tells him well done, as he cannot yet admit who he really is. Which, man, how to act without words. You really saw that struggle of like,
I'm gonna say something. What do I say? I mean, I think well done from Corliss was like high praise. That was if you got that from him, you're doing well.
I mean, well
I get
done, yeah.
I mean, I get that you want Daddy to be a little more direct and more, outspoken, but I mean, that was high praise from him.
right, and also like since Adam is the one who kind of wants more from him, you have to question how often he's actually been in contact with him, because Alan has been sailing with him for a long time and he has
Right.
no expectations at all.
Yeah, and I mean, you can kind of even see him trying to do that, like immediately bowing and offering services to Rhaenyra, and then in this one, just trying to even change from my lord to my lord, which I love that little bit in these writings because that is such a good touch of Martin's that I'm glad it carried out throughout these shows. And then in Harrenhal, Daemon is visited by the newly raised Lord Oscar, a boy lord. Daemon, the Lord Paramount of the Riverlands, and the River Lords all meet by the weirwood tree. The new young lord shows his strength, courage, and ability to lead as he speaks down of Daemon in front of him, while leveraging that to show his force and punish Willem Blackwood for his excessive crimes against House Bracken. Have you ever seen a cooler Tully?
Right.
He was looking Damon in the eye the entire time. He was like essentially saying that like we will do justice against Willem or on Willem Blackwood, right?
It's genius.
For a kid who is new and green to it all. Well, green isn't probably the right word. He's black to it all, I guess. But he played Damon pretty well, I think. You got to give him a little credit. There was a little mic drop there,
This does raise the question, though: are they, since his performance is so good, are they just streamlining all the young lads among the River Lords into one character? Because they've mentioned Benjacob Blackwood, but they haven't shown him yet. Willem must be his uncle.
I feel like we might this might help us, like next season we'll get, Lord Oscar with like a bunch of his contemporaries maybe.
Mm-hmm.
That would be awesome, man. This kid's got huevos.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's get out all of Sesame Street.
Rest in peace, Elmo.
Oh,
Though you were never named.
no tickling of Elmo anymore.
Oh my god.
Did you all catch that the weirwood tree has Martin's face in it?
Someone posted about that on the Discord, right?
Yeah, that's in. I think that's
Yeah.
also in the. That's in. I don't know if it's in the after the episode, the inside the episode, whatever they call it, or if it's in the House the Dragons Built. But they made a big deal of that, and they showed Martin coming on set and going ooh, and they deliberately left it so that like it wasn't like very blatant in your face, but you'd look at it and go like, wait, is that? Which I thought they pulled off, although I didn't catch it on first watch.
No, me neither. But no, that's the kind of touch you like in like a show like this, right? You
Right.
know?
Well, it had to either be Martin or Bran. No.
Yeah, right. Thank
That would be
goodness it
kind of
wasn't
fun if
bad.
they did. If actually, that would have been kind of cool if it had been Bran's face, but they kept it, just vague enough that you're like, wait, is that?
After Damon takes Sir Willem Blackwood's head, we fall into another one of his dreams with the thickly Viserys pondering his crown. He's saying he never wanted it, and it was right for him to not want it. It crushes every head it sits upon. But Damon has always wanted it. Even now, do you, Viserys asks Damon, still want it? Which, if this is the last one, that was a good conclusion. I don't know if it was worth the wait, but I'm glad he's addressing whatever he's addressing.
Damon doesn't actually answer him.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, now that we're so it's like with this goes along with the Riverlord scene, but yeah, it feels like the like I could have done with all of this except like the one episode where Damon had the war crimes against the Blackwood or against the Brackens because it was just like a matter of because just about the way it was staged of how like he or about how like the consequences played out, right? The Riverlords, they busted into Harrenhal during the Hour of the Wolf, but then like now they're here to they're not saying like they didn't threaten to say maybe we should support the Greens, but instead they're uh like we see the end product now of all of the Riverlords falling behind Oscar Tully, but what is nice about Fire and Blood in particular is how it lets the minor houses have a day in the spotlight compared to the main series.
Which is something I think both the first season and especially the second season has done really well, giving us both with small folk that kind of ground view and showing us more of lesser lords, even if they have bigger house names,
Right. It does feel like it flattens the world a little bit. Yeah, I mean, on the one hand, it's a little harder to justify for the entire runtime of the series why House Tully is neutral, but it does like in the Riverlands and in the Reach. Uh, the Lord Paramount is officially neutral, so that kind of gives or that kind of makes it a free for all amongst the lesser houses. So that's part of what makes it interesting, right? So it's not just the Beesberries mustering against the High Towers
Right. Yeah,
in the
they
Reach,
pointed out that the Beesberries have allies, which I love that.
right? And especially because like the Beesberries are themselves sworn to the High Towers, so they're even lower down the social ladder than the other minor houses, and which was why Otto thought he could Lord Beesbury on the council because he assumed that he would fall in line. But the so it's just like there's like the Romans and the Tarleys that are for Team Black, and like the Lords of Bitterbridge, who was one of the lords who was beheaded during the Green Council last season. So I mean it's good performance by the actor. It didn't need to be as drawn out, I guess, but
Maybe that's the thing, because I'm sitting here thinking like I feel like we should have more to say, because like the kid did do an awesome performance, was a good scene, but yeah, you're right. It did feel drawn out, I guess, especially because as we've been doing the last few episodes, it combines it into a dream.
Right.
You know, you see the close up on his face, and you're like, "Oh, we're going to a dream now."
Hmm.
Kind of undercutting it almost.
Yeah, and look, like they are clearly just like, like figuring out like the battle set pieces and how many dragons they want to show in the off season, like what their animation budget is for that, and then they're just riding around that, right? Which I think any of us would
Right.
do the same thing if we had the job of outlining the season. But
Right. And I mean, obviously this episode supports that because you can't really blame them when you see how well they're doing the dragons, giving them different identities and voices, and it's just unfortunate that it's paired with bad pacing.
yeah,
Yeah. One of the things I thought was weird in the editing here was when at the just before when Damon was about to take his vassal's head there, like they cut out quick and then went to the dream, and I wasn't sure. I was like, wait, did he actually do it? It took me a minute. Like I was like, wait, did it actually happen, or did I? Are we meant to believe he did or didn't? Like it took me a few minutes to figure out which way they were going with that.
Yeah, I half expected him to wake up sitting next to Sir Simon at the table, you know?
Right, exactly. What did I do? Did I do it?
Which again, MVP Sir Simon Strong, just when Lord Oscar's talking down to Damon, and he's just like, oh no. All right, and then moving on into the Red Keep, Aegon is getting some extreme physical therapy when Laris comes in to help him abed, further telling Aegon he must work harder. When Laris tells the Grand Maester he's working him too hard, he responds by saying that it was done by Lord Laris's command. The clubfoot then leaves, telling him he should try again in a few hours.
He's like screaming in pain. Let's just keep
Right.
going. It's like,
Oh,
have
and
you ever been to physical therapy before and like you don't
well,
want to do it,
no,
but you need to? That's like what it felt like. It's like, I mean, I remember I dislocated my shoulder one time and I had to go into physical therapy, and like this tiny woman would like take my arm and bend it in directions it just did not want to go. And she's like, no, you need this. And I'm like, no, don't. I don't want you to do anymore. Stop.
no, you know what's funny? When the scene started, and I was like, oh my God, like I just did that. Like, again, like
Right.
this is the second time I brought it up, but like after being in a coma, I had to relearn how to like walk and talk and write and everything. And I'm a tall dude. I'm 6'3". So like having to relearn to walk and like having somebody smaller next to you doing that, like what happened was my absolute fear, because it's hard and it hurts. And
Yeah.
that's why like it I get why he's doing it, I guess, but it blows my mind how hard Laris is like
Right.
practically bullying him.
Mhm.
Like you can trust me. I'm gonna get you healthy.
Whether you like it or not.
Exactly.
right. And it's just like, well, Aegon did ask Laris to help him.
Right.
Uh, now that like Aemon's
Yeah.
definitely out to kill him or to finish
Right.
what he started. But
Right.
the but yeah, it does right, and it's just like what's excessive and then what's trying to just further emotionally manipulate him to further cling to Laris.
Right, because
Laris manipulate anyone? Never.
Never.
well, I mean, this is literally the only person he has to left to manipulate. Everybody else doesn't want him.
Right.
Right. Right. And now Laris is taking on the role of your cripple mentor.
Bastards and broken things.
Yep.
All right, and then going on from there, the sea snake meets with Alan, telling him of his duties to help transport small folk, as well as that it was his brother who was mounted sea smoke. Alan says he is salt and sea and yearns for nothing else. Which again, just more Corliss unable to talk to his sons or admit that he probably wants them to secede him, you know?
He even said salt and sea, like Bela said to him.
Exactly. Like, you're watching that scene and he says that and you're like, make him the heir. Make him the heir.
Mm-hmm.
No, of course not.
Yeah, it's fine because, or in the book, Adam was the first heir to Driftmark, but then Alan took over after Adam kicked the bucket. But
Right.
it's fine that they're streamlining that. I actually like it.
No, I mean it works. The it's very focused on what you need to know, so that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and then speaking of Reyna, oh no, you said Bela, so that transition doesn't work.
Time for the editing.
No, that sounds like the bumper.
There you go.
All right. And
Or
then
that's the story of Reyna's life, though, isn't it?
it really is,
I mean,
unfortunately, especially with how this is going. So yeah, Reyna is leaving the Eyrie, but when the Lady Erin leaves them and closes the gate, she does not join the party, but instead runs off to find the wild Veil Dragon. Which again, she's Nettles. She's looking for Sheepstealer. Not a great choice because she just abandoned two children. So I don't know.
Maybe they'll make her the bearer of news about the gay abandon too. Connect the two plot lines to get Sheepstealer back to Team Dragonstone, and then because otherwise it's just like if she mounts Sheepstealer and then like sees the fleet when she's running around, right? Or she sees the ships getting into a
Right.
tight situation because it's a big ass fleet. Like there's no way that she can expect to or that she could expect to defend the ship carrying the boys on her own.
Yeah, that's
Because
true.
also because in the book it's young Aegon on his dragon who brings the news to Dragonstone on his dragon
Oh, that's right.
Stormcloud. So
Yeah.
that seems like a very economical thing to do is get Reyna back with the rest of Team Dragonstone, bring the news of the gullet, have them ship out immediately for the gullet. Chase dies.
Yeah, and I think we're getting that next episode probably.
They said the gullet is not in season 2. So maybe, or my money is on if they're not taking King's Landing, then to end on the fleet arriving and Dragonstone preparing for battle.
Well, let's hope it works.
Because this is exactly how it happens in the book of like they get the dragon seeds, they're preparing for the attack on King's Landing. Whoops, we're under attack. Battle of the Gullet.
Right.
Yeah, that'll probably be the cliffhanger.
Yeah.
The
Yeah,
off-season
I can see that.
cliffhanger.
Yeah, especially with how messy both factions are getting right now.
Although we could end with, with her saving the day, swooping in on Sheepstealer,
That sounds more like a TV thing to do for sure.
right?
Right, but then it's all on the other hand, it's just like Aemond recalled Otto to King's Landing specifically to treat with the Triarchy, so it could really go either way, right?
Right, yeah. We'll
Because
just have
Otto's
to
not back
see.
from King's Landing yet, but
No, it's slow going.
Well, we still got a whole episode, and it's supposedly extra long, right?
Oh, woof. All right, and then in the Kingswood, Alicent returns to camp as Sir Rickard is cleaning offal. She does not know if she even wants to return to the city, which is literally the entire scene.
We got to have some communing with nature time.
I will say, whatever floors they filmed for her scenes this episode are all gorgeous. Right, and then moving on to Dragonstone, Jacaerys confronts his mother about allowing small folk to claim dragons, as well about his true father. If she will give these lowborn dragons, she strips him of the one thing that proved his legitimacy, being a dragon lord.
Like, yeah, we're having this awkward conversation now.
Yeah, I
Right.
like that scene.
It didn't
No,
do it for me.
Interesting. I didn't know how I thought about it yesterday when I watched the episode. But please tell us what you think.
I feel like he came across as petulant.
Well, yeah, I suppose he's still supposed to, he is still young. But I don't know. Maybe I do need to sit with it for like a day or two, especially because like I've been wanting more Jace, especially a Jace like this that is trying to take a stand and trying to be the heir to his mother. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what about it. Maybe I should just sit with it.
Right. And what gave me mixed feelings about it yesterday was that, like in the book, the Dragon Seas are his project. At least that's how it comes off in the Maester's telling of it, right? And,
Well, they even
like,
set it up that way here too.
right. Right. But like, I guess, right. And it's like, yeah, you got that impression from, was it episode 5 when they do that? But then the book, you also get the sense that he is, like trying to give other bastards, a chance to, distinguish themselves, right? That he kind of acknowledges like the rumors of his origin and they, is trying to, like pay it forward a little bit to someone who wasn't so lucky in that sense. But in but on the other hand, like in the show, I like that, as a kid he figured it out for himself that Harwin Strong was his father, and that he's given the space to say that, like, or as an adult to say, I loved him, and he's not, when Bela asked him about it, and that she wasn't forcing him to put a name to that relationship, because she asked him about Laenor too. And but yeah, like and it is hard to, or one can appreciate that like the writers are trying to do something different than Jon Snow, right? I'm a bastard.
No, and maybe that's kind of what didn't do it for me is because I don't remember if it was this way in the books, but like I never felt that he had the conflict of being a strong boy, besides like when he was a kid being teased.
Mhm.
Because what really matters is his mother, and so maybe because they are like you're saying, kind of doing that bastard storyline, but doing it differently than just Jon Snow who listens to the Smiths, in his room by himself.
I mean, I like that. Like they're deliberately trying to not go in that direction, but they are trying to at least, like acknowledges that this is something that he's had to live under his entire life, and he is the person that it affects the most, right? Like, Alicent can like whine about it because this is a standard that Rhaenyra is not being held to, that she is being held to because she's a consort, and because like she's like just society just says that she's the incubator for the person who has the real power. Therefore, we cannot be, or therefore, like we must be, 100% sure that what comes out of there is her husband's. But like Corliss is also a good sport about it. But that it's still like as good as he's had it as a bastard, that it still creates a lifetime of slights and things, and that like he is like closer to being comfortable in his own skin than Jon Snow is. But like this is kind of time for an adult conversation. This feels like this also feels like the only time he's ever brought it up to Rhaenyra, right? Of like it is time for this adult conversation, and Joffrey's too young for it, and he's in the Vale, and Luke is dead, so it's he is really the only person who can ask that, and yeah, he's like, and the writers let him be a little classist about it, because he says like the word mongrels or something to describe the dragon seeds.
It was icky. Yeah,
that was icky. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is like, yeah, and they're like they're like letting Jace have a flaw, which is nice, but because like right now, or until now, he's been kind of the MVP of Team Black, of like taking initiative to treat with Cregan, but also, or taking initiative to go treat with the Freys to make sure that Cregan's troops can pass through. And he's just been, or he has come off as rather bland, and he's still talking about this in the context of his own potential succession when Rhaenyra dies, and that that he'll have to go through this, or now opening this door, even though it is better than death and defeat now, that they are opening the door for say young Aegon's kids to challenge him down the line. And also this will play into the gullet later, as like Jace is still going to rescue them in spite of that possibility, right? As opposed to Aemond and what he did during Winter's Rest, right?
I could definitely see that, and I'll definitely sit on it. I'll probably come around to it more, because I guess my biggest issue is just because we don't get a lot with him, we got to take it where we get it.
Yeah.
And something like this is, would have been better to build up a little bit more than what, 2 episodes ago,
Well, it's like, if he doesn't confront her on this now, when's he gonna? Because time's running out.
Exactly, and everybody knows that.
Yeah, and then like what happens in the gullet is that like Jace is the first dragon out there, and then the dragon seeds come in as backup. So, just it does add a nice, or a nice character dimension for him to be worried about this down the line, but he's still going to rescue Rhaenyra's kids by Daemon.
Right. And then, speaking of dragon seeds and little Targaryen children, in a great montage of crime hoodies, we see many familiar faces going throughout the city of King's Landing, recruiting dragon seeds. Ulf's friends at the bar hype him up to go, and Hugh tells his wife that this is something he must do. Rest in peace, their daughter. We then see the dragon seeds boarding ships led by Alan.
Okay, was it so hard to have Hugh Hammer come back from the riot last episode, and then to have his wife say she's gone?
Honestly. Especially because when I was watching the scene, I was like, there's just more Tumbleton foreshadowing. I get it, you know. Hugh is rougher than he comes off, you know. But then, like all of a sudden, like, and I couldn't, save our daughter, and I'm like, what the fuck?
No, but I liked his monologue to his wife. Besides, his mama Sarah.
Besides that, yeah, because it is Sarah. That is. I love that touch.
Yeah, and it's such a nice touch that like Sarah is the one who Jaehaerys failed the most as a parent, but now her son is going to claim his dragon, and
Right.
the uh and yeah, and it was nice how Ulf's friends kind of embarrassed Ulf
Guilt
into
tripped him.
going. Yeah, guilt tripped him into doing that. It's like, oh, you've been drinking for free on this for how many years, and
Right,
now you're
right.
gonna try to get
We're
out of it.
calling you on it. Now's your chance to actually do something with it, and you better.
You cost us dragons. Now try to get one. Yeah. It was a fun little scene. It had some good bad moments, but it was kind of fun. I know you both of you actually touched on this earlier when we were talking about it, but there's like 3 dozen small folk just in a line out of the gates going to ships. And it's like I kind of excuse the gate thing because like I saw in one of the shots in this episode, like the gate was closed, but they had it like open for people to walk through. So I'm guessing they've kind of lessened it, I guess, like lessened security or restriction. But how does nobody in the Red Keep look out and go, huh, that's like 30 people walking in some boats. What's going on?
Yeah, and also right, because it was this scene where one of the promotional stills of the show showed a woman with an afro in line behind it was either Ulf or Hugh Hammer that we'd seen previously, but then gave rise to speculation that they that we were going to get Nettles this season. But
Damn,
yeah, it's a bummer.
super bummer. Pour one out.
Nettles is too real for HBO.
And then Alicent on her camping trip finds a beautiful calm lake and practices floating, and she sees a hawk flying above. That was the entire scene, but again, I enjoyed it just because of how beautiful it was, both the setting and the filming.
Yeah, I liked the visuals of her hair in the water spreading out around her. It
Oh, that was
looked
so
really nice.
good.
It just looked really cool.
Right, it reminds me of the one Ophelia painting.
By Millet.
Yes.
Yeah, and also her first line in the show in season 1, episode 1 is "I don't want to fly."
Yep. And then she's looking up at a hawk flying.
No, it's a nice way to break before the roasting of the dragon seas later this episode too.
Oh no, it's yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because really, like, obviously, it's more artsy. The scene is like about her kind of letting go of everything, and maybe she does want to fly and be free. But really, again, is for me, the takeaway is just like how beautiful it is, because that's how I envision like medieval fantasy kind of shit. Like growing up as a kid, when you're playing with your friends and playing imaginary, that's the kind of shit I would imagine, you know.
And is this the last Alicent scene of the episode?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything from now on is dragons.
Okay, yeah. So I guess she still hasn't left the city, and if they are taking King's Landing next episode, then she'd be outside the city.
Well, yeah, yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah, because she's in the Kingswood, which is across the bay.
I don't know if it's across the bay. It's just more like immediately south of the city, right? Like maybe it's across the river, but
Oh, I thought it was like south across the bay. Oh, I'm gonna look this up.
It's
Hold
like
on.
Massey's Hook, right? Or Dragonstone.
Hold on. I'm so bad at this.
Because part of the pre-Blackwater thing is that Tyrion has his mountain clans harass Stannis' forces in the Kingswood.
Right, I'm just pulling up the map because I don't remember even.
I mean, there's also like the plot hole from the past few
Right.
episodes of just like the blockade and how
No.
difficult the
Oh,
blockade is actually making. While you're looking up
right.
the map, we can just maybe we can discuss
No.
that
Yeah.
of just
Okay.
like there's the blockade that's
Right. All right. So we're both right. So King's Landing is on the south side
mhm,
of uh of the northern. It's on the northern side of the bay, but like south shore, whatever. You understand. So
mhm.
the Kingswood starts a little to the southwest and then goes south and east on the opposite side of the bay.
Okay.
And then, yeah, Massey's Hook hooks over the Blackwater Bay, and then Dragonstone and Driftmark are both pretty much right there. And then Rosby's almost directly across.
Yeah. The other thing about the blockade is that it's like has the noble house controlling Bitterbridge like made an effort to like cut off the reach from the or from King's Landing because that would seriously hurt
Right.
the food situation, like in Clash of Kings, because that's exactly what Stannis does. But bah,
Yeah,
right,
I
it's
don't know.
just like
Maybe,
it is the out that Martin gives himself because he didn't leave it to or he's just able to write that from the perspective of the maesters, and then the showrunners have to actually implement it and make it sound plausible
right.
on a day-to-day perspective.
I don't know. I guess you could just chalk it up to it's not just food trade, but goods too. So
Yeah, no,
I
it
don't
makes
know.
sense for like the blacksmiths, right? But
It's okay. A couple corners cut are fine. Cutting
yeah,
out a character is not. So to get into the potatoes of the episode, the dragon seeds arrive
Dragon
on
time.
Dragonstone. What'd you say?
I was saying it's dragon time.
Oh yeah, dragon time.
After lots of
Um,
chat and discussions.
so the dragon seeds arrive on Dragonstone, but when all gathered, the dragon keepers complain and say it is blasphemy on bringing Andals in front of sacred beasts, the last ancient, the last of ancient Valyria, and their order will take no part. Rhaenyra gives those who came from the city a pep talk on what is expected, what may happen, and why this is important. She says they will go and see Vermithor, the Bronze Fury. In the caverns of the Dragonmont, House Targaryen and the seeds gather as Rhaenyra calls forth the second largest and most fierce of their beasts. The queen leaves with her retinue as the bastards of House Targaryen stand before the great symbol of Westerosi royalty. The man who attempted to lay the first claim perished, along with many others. Chaos ensues, but Rhaenyra watches on. Ulf is thrown to the ground, and Hugh runs off with many others. When he and one woman are cornered by Vermithor, Hugh risks his own life to distract the dragon from the woman, and with his boldness the dragon submits. Deeper in the caverns, Ulf has run until he steps on something. Hopefully not a dragon egg.
That's what I was thinking.
I know I was trying to look, but I
Like,
don't know.
what is that gooey stuff she stepped in?
dragon dung.
Yeah, let's go with that. But Silverwing knocks him down and similarly submits. In King's Landing, Aemon's council is interrupted when the men outside the castle are shouting out dragon. Ulf and Silverwing are flying above the city, and Aemond makes haste to Vagar. He flies towards Dragonstone, but as he nears, he sees they have multiple dragons and riders, and turns around back to Blackwater Bay. The final shot we have is Rhaenyra and her dragons in front of Dragonstone, All Alive with Dragon song.
Nice.
Did anybody think not Ulf, anybody think Hugh was gonna toss the chick to
I was starting to
claim the
wonder, like,
dragon?
where's he going
I
with
got
that?
real nervous. Because we've seen him like be a little violent to small folks, so I was like, oh no.
That guy had a cabbage for his starving daughter.
Well, yeah, and now he's standing in front of a beast he's seen already burn and devour people. Like, I'm glad he didn't, but I wouldn't have been surprised if he did.
No, I liked how seemingly, like glib Rhaenyra was about just like letting them in front of Vermithor at the same time. Well, or someone posted the out of context collage for this episode, and it was Lord Farquaad saying, "Some of you may die, but that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make." And
Right.
Oh, and that was absolutely her. They're like, Rhaenyra, we gotta go. And she's like, nope, I'm looking.
right, and she had her nice balcony all set up.
Right.
Don't you think that it's going to be Aegon or he's going to be watching her get eaten from that balcony?
Oh yeah,
Probably.
I'm sure they gotta do that
It's got to
now.
be. Now that they built the balcony.
Right.
Well, it makes sense. I actually like that they have like a viewing gallery. I was like, oh, they probably would.
No, I think if Ulf had stepped on one of Silverwing's eggs, she would have eaten him.
I really hope that was an egg. I was trying so hard to see if it was like a rib cage or something,
Right.
but it looked like it had scales.
Oh, it was one of those mounds that had the dragon eggs in them that Daemon was excavating before going to dinner with Viserys.
Oh, so is it just like shells, not actual
It's like,
eggs?
no, there were eggs, but they were like in that mound to incubate them.
Uh, damn it. Well, I guess that's a nice detail. It helps explain how even more careless and wild of an insane idea this is. You
Right,
have
to just
all
let them.
all of all fucking people stomping on a dragon egg, and Silverwing's like, "Hey,
I mean, I thought it was wild how he got chosen after, like, you have Hugh just seconds ago, like, being defiant and staring him in the face and going like, "Bring it on!" and like, and like, and the dragon being a little impressed with that. We now have the chicken laying there like, "Oh, don't just kill me, let it over with," and like he's like, "Nah, I like you."
right."
Nah, I'm not gonna kill you. What the hell? I'll let you ride me instead. Like, I don't.
I mean, it's just such a great way to show how wildly different those two dragon seeds are.
Right.
And
And the
I
dragons.
liked it.
And the
And the
dragons.
dragons, yeah, absolutely. Speaking of that, man,
I thought the scene
just
of him
how good.
riding over King's Landing was rather cheesy, though. And
Oh yeah, but I mean,
I
I
liked
was
it.
here for
I liked it.
it.
Yeah. It's like, when you get a new car, you want to go for a joyride,
I do like too, because it was probably like maybe not, but Rhaenyra might have been like, "Hey, just go fly over there and come back." And then because she knew Aemond would follow and see all the dragons and riders and shit. Um, but I also like too when he was like deep in the caverns. Um, there's like black water and it's sulfur. It's like sulfuric and smoky. Like, yeah,
was
we're in a volcano.
oh, okay. I thought that, or actually, now that you say that, it does make more sense that it was planned as a provocation, but still, it's. Eh. But I like that they showed Aemond riding to the dragon pit on his horse and just
Oh,
demonstrating
such
that,
a good touch.
just reminding us, even like after the Green Council, when Rhaenys had to walk there amongst the crowd, Just reminding us still that, like, the dragon pit is not a part of the palace complex.
Right. I mean, it does become important to, know that the dragon pit isn't really very close.
Right.
Unfortunately, tragically.
Yeah. Poor Joffrey.
You never had the chance.
The was the red dragon, was that Jace's dragon, Aaron or Vermax? Because I was trying to place the red dragon, but
I was trying to figure that out too, because wasn't one of the dragons riderless as well?
well, it doesn't need to be. Jace doesn't need to be on
Yeah, that's true.
Vermax for him to be, like, just out on Dragonstone,
Part of the party.
chilling and roaring. Yeah, but because Melis was red and Caraxes is red, but Caraxes is still at Harrenhal.
I don't know. Somebody on YouTube already broke it all down in a
I'm
nice
sure.
short 45-minute video for us.
But yeah, it is, just how quickly Ulf did his joyride over King's Landing does demonstrate the threat they're under from Vhagar.
Oh yeah. And you really, really see that Daemon's face when he is like, nope, turn around. Turn
Yeah.
around.
Yep.
Mhm.
Like
Oh,
I love it too. It's like he was in a car and just did a really hard, tight U-turn, you know?
you can almost hear the screeching tires.
Right.
Right. And now after Luke, he is trying to get more of a mastery over Vhagar, or just being more aware of the fact that Vhagar can
Yeah,
act
more
on
aware would be
his impulses.
key
Yeah.
terminant. Yeah.
Right. So did we see him touch down at King's Landing or
Ulf?
Aemond?
I don't think so.
Oh, when he flew back?
Yeah.
No, I think it just after he turned around and started flying back towards the city, I think it just cut to Rhaenyra and the dragons.
Right. Okay. Because now if we're we're finally, we've covered the last scene. So I guess now we can try to speculate on where they're going with the finale, right? Because they have 3 major battle plot threads dangling, right? So there's the fish feed, because the Lannisters are mustering at the Golden Tooth already. And we've established that Cregan's troops have an avenue into the heart of the Riverlands from the crossing. And we also have, now the Rhaenyra's younger sons are on the ship, are on the ship to the Gay Abandon, which will be caught up in the Gullet. And we're waiting on what the plans are for them to take King's Landing.
Which will we get next week before the finale is over?
It really just does come down to which one they want to choose, either
Yeah.
to use as a cliffhanger or to be the latter half of the episode.
They could combine the fish feed and taking King's Landing, because the whole aspect of the fish feed is that even conventional forces, when there's not a dragon actively on the battlefield, will make their calculus around the possibility that a dragon might show up, and so choose a less advantageous conventional position to strike, just so they get this over with before the dragon shows up. And because at that point in the story, Aemond is already in Harrenhal. But they could combine it with the sort of base swapping trick that Daemon pulls on Aemond, in order to take King's Landing, which is when Aemond ends up in Harrenhal.
Right, which they actually might put that in motion in this next episode,
Right.
because I could see that.
Yeah, I've come around to the idea that they do, or that the show could use, a shift in tone to just not have another finale with Rhaenyra sulking on Dragonstone. But
Right, yeah.
but at the same time that they would either have to really slow roll her tyranny, or they'd have to stretch that out and then also just beat to death Rhaenyra and Alicent with like a dead horse. But then there's the fact that Alicent is also outside the city, as far as this episode goes.
Right. And yeah, I don't, at least I hope they don't. I don't think they'll take the city next episode, because I do think that could be a good, like, mid to late next season kind of thing, unless that takes it too, like, stretches it too far.
Yeah.
Because I would like Jace to survive till at least season 3's premiere. Maybe have the first episode with that, just so that we can build up, like, some of these battles a little more, even if we don't necessarily get them like we did with the Darkland. No, not the Darklands. What was the Rook's Rest? Thank you. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, one thing for our speculating is I know that they had said, I saw in a few different interviews or whatever, them talk, or at least different reviews, talking about how after Rook's Rest they said there was going to be one more big set piece this year. And I'm wondering if this was it, or if whatever happens next week will be it. Like, does this count as a big set piece? It was pretty big, but
Yeah, but a set piece, I don't know.
yeah.
It was like a few segments.
Yeah, I'd call this a very effects-heavy episode, but still not a set piece that,
Right.
like, you want to get your friend's reaction from. Like Ned's execution or the Red Wedding.
Right.
Or something
Right.
like Blackwater.
And they did name this the Red Sowing, but I think just to be evocative, not necessarily to be like, this is a big episode, you guys.
Yeah, and I think the red is added, but it's called the Sowing in the book, so.
I think it's just like the red dragon instead of the gold dragon, sowing of the seeds. It's fine.
Right, because it would be a bit much to do the fish feed and King's Landing and to, show a shot of the fleet approaching to tease the gullet. But
Yeah, I can work with that.
yeah, because then it's also like with assuming 4 seasons, to have them take King's Landing at the end of this episode, or sorry, at the end of this season, and if assuming that they would only want to kill Rhaenyra right at the end and to do as, like maybe one episode of the Regency to just establish that Jaehaera is dead and all of the, in the death of Alicent, and let Cregan carry an episode too. That is like a very drawn out period of Rhaenyra in King's Landing, unless they want to give her several episodes of twiddling her thumbs while she's on the run from King's Landing to Dragonstone.
I hope not. She's done that enough.
Right. We've seen enough of that this season. Of what would you have me do?
Right. I will say though, they've got to give us an entire episode titled "The Hour of the Wolf," right?
Who knows? But that's how I would like that. But but I would also have liked to see the Pact of Ice and Fire, and
Yeah.
maybe just Jace gets like a like they show like him in Winterfell for for a couple of scenes in an episode doing various things with Cregan, but no.
Yeah, not unless we get some awkward flashbacks.
Nope. Yeah, it just seems like they're not, if they're not going to, yeah, they're not doing the gullet, but they're not necessarily going to do King's Landing. So, but then having the fish feed would bookend Cregan's involvement, that he's just someone to remember, and he's somewhat, and like they're to leave the audience with some sort of payoff related to Cregan in this season.
Right. No, I could see that. All right. Anybody have any last words?
We ready for the finale?
Oh, did Bina leave her comment in the thread for us to read? Oh, I'll read it. I have it. Can't make the podcast this week, so, but my thoughts are as follows. Oscar Tully is a fucking legend. Yes, he is. The only fever dreams worth having are the Viserys dreams. Love the cut from deformed Viserys to deformed Aegon. I actually have a bit more respect for Jace after he called Rhaenyra out. He's not wrong. Handle Semi-Targ, the largest dragon, and create another rival center of power. What I like about this series is that you really understand that these dragons are seen as religious artifacts that will be desecrated by Andal riders, not just crude weapons of mass destruction as in Game of Thrones. Comedy Ulf. The rest was blah, 4 out of 5 overall.
All right. Yes. It's kind of surprising how every week we've all pretty much been around the same in terms of how we feel about the episode.
I mean, before I slept on it, I was like at a 2.5 for this episode, so.
Yeah, and I probably end up giving my ratings the benefit of the doubt only because I'm hosting.
Yeah, we don't. Yeah, and also just like some stuff is going to go down smoother when it's entirely in context, which we don't have right now.
Right, and that's always a struggle with serialized TV.
Right. Oh yeah, there wasn't Aegon saying God instead of gods when he was doing his physical therapy.
Yeah, he was like, oh God, but that's probably just actor. Unlike us, he hasn't put gods in his vocabulary.
Right.
There's so much from these book series that I like stay on unironically in my daily life. All right, and since this week we actually did not have a House of the Dragon poll, I will just urge our listeners to comment down below or join our Discord and tell us what you think is going to happen for the finale next week. And then with that being said, thank you all for being here today. And if you'd like to join the conversation, like I was just saying, you can join our Discord, Vassal of the Kingsgrave. Follow us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, anywhere, you can find people on the internet. Just Google us. Thank you to my counselors for joining me, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Zander.
Thanks. Oh, did Bina leave her comment in the thread for us to read?
Oh, shoot. Where was that?
Back in the spoilers Westeros chat.
Okay, hold on. Let me pull it up.
Probably have to scroll back a little because there's been a good amount of discussion since then.
Oh,
yeah, and I.
Yeah, I'll read it. I have it.
Oh, you have it? Perfect.
You can edit this in. You could always edit it in. Sorry.
No.
Hi, Craig. Craig and his oh so sexy voice.
For this next scene, I wanted to ask, because who is the other Lord Laris is talking to?
That is Jasper Wild, known as Iron Rod, but the Master of Laws on the Green Council.
Okay, so it's Lord Weil?
Wild. Like Oscar Wilde.
Wild.
Except
Oh,
for the
like Oscar
Y.
Wilde. Yeah. All right, let me just put that in my notes because I just had 3 X's and I was like, I don't know what his name was. I don't know if they said it.
It's Moon Boy.
A wild moon boy appears.
Or does
Would
he?
you like to introduce yourself, Moon Boy?
You're on mute
I was gonna say
if you weren't sure.
after we just had this conversation earlier.
Yeah, right.
Here we go. Oop. Oop. Now you're not on mute, but a lot of background sound.
I think your pocket answered.
Oop, and there he goes.
Farewell, Moon Boy. You will be missed. Please join us next time.
I know, right?
Seems he fell out a moon door.
Uh,
Yeah. Any last thoughts, you guys?
Gonna be sad.
Um,
Next week will be our last podcast on this for a while.
yeah, for like another 2 years.
Yeah. It's another 2 years, probably, right? That's okay. Well, there's other shit that's not necessarily Song of Ice and Fire related that
Yep.
we'll still be podcasting. We're always here.
And we could do a season 2 retrospective of what makes more sense in context.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea.
Like we
Let
did the
people
season 2
sit on it.
preview.
We
Mhm.
can do a group one and bring
Right.
all the vassals together
Oh, geez, that'll be so chaotic.
Oof, yeah, right. What a nightmare.
for editing.
All
Yeah,
right.
you know, people,
Sorry, what were you guys saying?
no, nothing.
I was just saying a nightmare for editing. That's all.
Yeah, no, exactly. Which this one will not be. I mean, there's a lot of stuff like this that I'm gonna cut out, but whatever.
Right.